Good evening, everyone. You've made it to Tuesday, September 2nd. My name is Leda Dahlhoff, and I'm filling in for our mayor who doesn't feel well, so let's give her some healing vibes. Can we do the call to order, please?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Leada Dahlhoff,
I am still here.
Councilmember Angela Jefferson,
Present.
Councilmember Joan Caffey is excused, Councilmember Eileen Swarthout, Councilmember Michael Althauser,
Present.
He's here.
you're here, Councilmember Peter Agabi,
Oh, sorry, I tried to say present. Maybe it's not working.
Councilmember Peter Agabi, Councilmember Kelly Von Holtz, Mayor Debbie Sullivan is also excused.
I apologize, I didn't turn any of your mics on, but that's a sign to project more. So thank you so much. Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate that. Let's do our flag salute. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. We are now moving to special items, and we have a very special guest tonight, our County Auditor, Mary Hall. And we have a proclamation for National Voter Registration Day, and Councilmember Eileen Swarthout will be reading that proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Whereas registering to vote empowers eligible citizens to exercise their right to vote on Election Day. And whereas the City of Tumwater and Thurston County are committed to strengthening democracy by encouraging voter registration and increasing participation in all elections. And whereas civic-minded people and organizations have collaborated to establish National Voter Registration Day on September 16th, 2025. And whereas the goal of the 2025 National Voter Registration Day is to create awareness of election and motivate eligible citizens to vote in coming months. And whereas the strength of our democracy depends on the willingness of our citizens to participate by choosing the people who will lead us and by voicing their opinions on important matters that will come before the voters on Election Day. And now, therefore, Debbie Sullivan, the mayor of the City of Tumwater, does hereby proclaim September 16th, 2025, National Voter Registration Day, and encourages all eligible City of Tumwater residents to register to vote when they receive their ballot and encourage their neighbors to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Swarthout. Mary Hall.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Dahlhoff and council members. You know, voting is a cornerstone of our democracy, but you can't vote unless you register to vote. One of the things that I take great pride in is in Washington State, we make voter registration very easy. You can come into my office, and our wonderful new voting center is in the City of Tumwater. We love it. But you can also go online at votewa.gov. All you need is your driver's license or the last four of your social security number, and you can register to vote. And I'm proud to say that last year we surpassed 200,000 registered voters here in Thurston County. So a lot of that is also due to same-day voter registration. People can show up, they can register on the day of the election up until 8 p.m. on Election Day, as long as they have the proper identification. So registering to vote is simple. And, you know, if anybody needs assistance, our great Voter Services Center is in Tumwater in the Mottman Complex. And we're very excited to have it there. And we're happy to have Tumwater our home. So thank you very much for all that you do to bring the spotlight to democracy. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Your mics are hot. So any comments, questions for Auditor Hall?
I'm just thinking, school starts tomorrow. And so there's a lot of seniors who are 17 but about to be 18. How do you register to vote, and when can you register to vote?
So we have a great program in Washington State. You can actually pre-register as young as 16 when you get your driver's license. Then we automatically send you a ballot. If they're not registered, they can register at school, they can go online to register, and then we automatically send them a ballot when they turn 18. A lot of schools now have big voter registration drives, and we promote that all the time. I've been out to Tumwater High School and Black Lakes a number of times, so. And I would hope that you have voter registration forms here as well.
Yes, we do. Yes,
Mary-
just verified. Thank you so much. Thank you for that question. We're going to go to Angela and then Councilmember Jefferson, then we'll go to Councilmember Swarthout. Angela, you have the floor.
Yes, Mary. So how does same day voters registration works if we're mailing ballots? How does that work?
So to register to vote, you do need to be in person in our office.
Okay, same,
And then we will basically give you the ballot right there. With the mail, it takes a while to get a ballot to you. However, for our military and overseas ballots, we can email them a ballot, but it still needs to be returned by election day. But we actually send them the voter oath as well as their ballot. They just need to sign and return that by 8 p.m. And if the signature matches, it's a valid ballot.
understood. Thank you. And thank you.
Great question,
for-
Councilmember Jefferson. Councilmember Swarthout, what do you got?
I have a couple of questions. One is, we've heard so much about like the safety of mail-in voting, and so I appreciate having worked with you in the past on, we had a situation when I was working at the legislature that of a constituent saying that they had received two ballots, and I appreciated being able to send that information to you. And I wondered if you could speak to that, how we were able to, what your office was able to do.
Sure, people move a lot. They don't really think about voter registration when they're updating their address. So it is possible for people to receive somebody else's ballot at their home. The beauty of vote by mail is the signature on that ballot envelope is verified on every single ballot that comes into our office. So that signature has to match. So we always have incidents, some more public than others, where people sign other people's ballots. So that's a no-no. You will receive a letter from the prosecutor. It's a felony. What we encourage people to do, because quite often it's innocent enough, is just to put it in the mail, not at this address, and it will be delivered back to us.
And it was interesting on the one that we had tracked down was the person that was alluding that they had received two, but they hadn't. But you were able to, the chain of custody, how intricate your system is to be able to show the chain of custody too. How was very, I'd like you to share how that part too was really interesting.
Sure. So we track everything in our office. Literally every keystroke that a person makes in our system is tracked. So we know if the person has gotten one ballot, we know if they've gotten a second ballot. It also is in the barcode on the ballot envelope. We also know where people return their ballot. So if somebody were to drop it off at a drop box, we know which drop box that came into. We know approximately what time it was dropped off, what pickup it was brought into. So that helps us really with our staffing to make sure that we are retrieving the ballots in the drop boxes when they need to be, collected. So, but yes, we follow the chain of custody on ballots from the moment they leave our office until the minute they're tabulated.
So if we do have people like, if our kids are moving or, a situation, my friend's daughter moved to Tri-Cities and I've received the ballot. So again, if you do have a ballot that is not yours, what is the proper thing to do?
There are a couple things you can do with that.
Mhm.
If it's somebody that is coming back here, let's say they're away at school, which happens a lot, you can forward that ballot to them, or you can call us, give us their new address, and then we will mail them a ballot as long as they still claim residency in Thurston County.
But again, if it's not your ballot, then you don't.
You-
You don't-
Yes, do not vote the ballot. And if you receive a ballot for your child who may be away at college,
Mhm.
don't sign it. It cannot count.
Mhm.
So it has to be the signature of the voter on that envelope.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, or compliments for Auditor Holt?
So I have a question, or actually, I want you to either make a correction or to verify what I'm about to say. a United States president does not have the authority to issue an executive order that dictate how elections are run by a jurisdiction. For example, our election is run by Thurston County, not by the state of Washington. Am I correct?
You are correct. In fact, I just got back from Salt Lake City from a law class. States determine the place, the time, and the manner in which elections are conducted. So the only one that can change the law are state legislators, and Congress does have the power to make some laws. However, it's very clear in the Constitution that states have the right of conducting where, when, and how they conduct their elections. So that would be a large constitutional hurdle.
Okay, so I want you to restate that because as you can tell, I have an accent. I took a test to become a citizen, so I don't know what the Constitution says, although I don't read it all the time. It is very, very hard, I would say disappointment, that a lot of my fellow citizens seems to believe that an executive order by the office of the presidency can overturn our election in Thurston County. So if I hear you correctly, you're saying that's not possible.
That is not possible. And again, I just got back from a conference with 800 of my colleagues from across the country, many from Florida, Texas, every state imaginable. And I always come back with so much hope because these people are just like me. They have the same principles, the same integrity, the same ethics. And we will do all we can to uphold the oath that we take to protect democracy. We follow the Constitution and the laws of our state, and that's all we will follow. And
Thank
it
you,
doesn't
Carmen.
matter who tries to influence us. We took an oath, and we all take that very seriously. So you are correct in that an executive order cannot shape or change the rules of an election.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Agabi, for that. I didn't know where you were going to go with that. So
I can go on. I
I
got
didn't know
more.
where you were going to go with that.
So I-
Thank you for that. Thank you for your moxie and your grit and your dedication to our community and our state. So I think good transition. Can we do a photo op and you get a free pen?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Let's do a photo down front. Come on up. Oh. No, we're not. You don't want some photo of side by side.
Oh.
You. And then here's your man. I will never.
No, straight on, no double cheer.
Thank you all for being engaging in that photo shoot. I appreciate it. Thank you, Auditor Hall. You know, you're always welcome to stay for the whole entire meeting. It's going to be amazing. Thank you. You are unmiked now, so your mics are not hot, just mine. We are on to the section of public comment. Thanks you, Administrator Parks. So, public comment. You have 3 minutes, which goes by fast. I'm looking at you, Dave Nicandri. Keep it within 3 minutes. We ask that when we call your name, when I say we, I mean me. I'm not sick, it's just allergies. That tell us your name and your contact information, and that what you're going to talk about is not already on the agenda. Does that work for everybody? So if you haven't signed in, let me know. We can call you. First, we're going to go with Courtney Holton. I feel like I was going to get it right, Courtney. Courtney, please, you have 3 minutes. What's on your mind tonight?
All right, I'm Courtney Holthouse. I live at 6605 Laron Court Southwest. And my comment is, the sirens in this city don't sound like safety to me. They sound like torment. They make me lose control of my own body. They've driven me to hyperventilation and near collapse. This is what your system has done to me. Because I spoke up against something evil. Because I nearly got kidnapped in a hospital for daring to raise my voice. Now I live like a pariah, humiliated, in pain, stripped of dignity, terrified every single damn day that I will lose what little autonomy I still have. 7 months of this hell. I worked for the Department of Corrections. I was simply an accountant. I saw the truth. I raised alarms. I was told, we don't make the rules. And then they broke me down until I quit. When I sued, they came after me harder. My so-called crime was pointing out that repeat predators, including a man who raped a little boy 3 separate times, were given free housing. He got stability, he got a roof over his head, and I got retaliation. When this now federal case reaches discovery, I will not hold back a single question. If this system refuses to protect victims, then a 29-year-old girl will. And understand this, I'm the kind of person who only gets stronger when I'm protecting others.
Thank you, Courtney, for coming. Next, we have Betsy Norton. Betsy, you have 3 minutes. They start when you start talking, not walking.
All right. My name's Betsy Norton. I live at 1405 Evergreen Park Drive, Southwest in Olympia. I had sent you guys some information last week. I was involved in the appeal of the SEPA decision for the Ole Airport Master Plan. And what I was trying to do was sort of use that information as best available science and share it with you. And so this is just a supplement to that. As an update to the information I sent your way for your work session last week, I highly recommend you watch the video testimony of Jim Matthew, the senior hydrogeologist, where he explains his concerns about the vulnerability of Tumwater's groundwater to contamination and potential impacts to both the Deschutes and the Salmon River Basin from too little groundwater and too much stormwater runoff. I believe this testimony also offers some very good basic explanations of the connections between groundwater and surface waters, so lays the foundation for thinking about industrial development and salmon streams as part of the same ecosystem when making policy and economic growth decisions, which you guys do. All of these water management issues are made more complicated and more important within the context of climate change, which is why I'm again posting the link here to the UW SIG projections. That's the Climate Impacts Group from University of Washington for weather patterns for Thurston County. And I printed out just hard copies of those 2 documents because they have maps and diagrams and stuff that are helpful. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Betsy. If you want to hand those and then they'll pass it out. We appreciate your thorough research. Thank you, Betsy. Dave, I haven't called your name yet to walk up. Dave Nicandri. This might be awkward to some of you, but I know Dave really well, so it's okay.
Dave Nicandri, 505 4th Avenue Southwest. As some of you know, I've kind of carved out a niche in my retirement as an author. Some of you might think of it as a professional old timer, but I'm here tonight to model kind of a new line for me. I've developed a line of historical casual wear.
I didn't know where you were going to go with that, Dave, so thank you for explaining.
This is, of course, the iconography from the presentation I made to the council a couple months back about recognizing our historic roads and trails, and look forward to implementing that. And I just would say that as we as we move forward, and I'm willing to, I have some other copies of this, Ware, and I'm willing to share that if we move forward and make some incremental progress. And here's looking at you, Chuck. So hopefully we'll get some of this done. On a far more serious note, I'm here tonight. I come here often complaining about things, but tonight I'm here to commend Councilmember Swarthout. Unless I'm mistaken, I think she was the only sitting city council member or elected official that was at the funeral for former Mayor Pete Fletch. And I want to thank you for doing that. And those of you who weren't there for whatever reason, press of business, didn't know about it, I hope it's not for any silly, stupid ideological reason. You would have missed former Mayor Pete Komet's outstanding testimonial to former Mayor Fletch's contributions to the city. What's somewhat ironic in my remaining minute, Pete was a good friend, but we never saw eye to eye. I was, believe it or not, 50 years ago, I was by far the most liberal member of the Tumwater City Council. By far. By far. And Pete and I rarely saw eye to eye on things. He was always on the prevailing side. I was on the prevailing side of a major issue in Tumwater one time. But as a testimonial to the kind of person former Mayor Fletch was, he would often see me get, you know what it's like to get beat down at a meeting where something you feel really strongly about doesn't carry the day. Pete could see that distress, and he would invite me out. We'd go down to the Falls Terrace for a beer afterwards. And I'll never forget that kindness in his reaching out. By the way, the one thing I prevailed on as a city council member, I wrote the environmental impact response for the expansion of I-5. I wrote it as a council member, having read the EIS for I-90 up in King County. So the noise barriers, air industrial, what's now Tumwater Boulevard, the pedestrian crossing there between the schools, those were all my ideas. I got Pete Fletch and Skip Schmidt and some other people to go along with that. But thank you again, Eileen, for being there. I appreciate it as a former colleague of Mayor Fletch.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Now, Councilor Swillet, you were going to give your update about attending in your council board, but since Dave is here, do you want to do it now? Because you had suggested doing it. Dave, would you like to hear, or do you want to stay for the whole meeting? Okay.
Had made it the funeral, so I can go ahead. We haven't had a mayor pass away, and so I had been working with Jason, and just how do you honor a man who's been with so many, and so a lot of us we had not had a chance to meet with him or had worked with him, and you had, and so it was an honor to be able to attend, and it was such an outpouring that the church was packed, and he just met so much to so many people in the community from his business connections, and also just so much that he had done for Tumwater. So I will read his remarks. Let's see. According to the Planning Commission minutes, Pete was first appointed to the Planning Commission in February of 1973. He served on the Planning Commission until February 1979, when he was appointed to the City Council on February 7th of 1979. He was reelected to City Council in 1981 and 1985, serving a total of 12 years on City Council. In 1989, Pete was elected as mayor of Tumwater. He served as mayor of Tumwater from January of 1990 to December 31 of 1993. Pete chose not to run again as he and his wife had built a home outside of Tumwater. And I think you were the one that told me that he decided to run because of his neighbor was the mayor and had said, if you want to do something, you want to complain, then do something about it. So he did run. And so looking at his picture, who's the one the guy in the sweater? Lozier. And so the guy he's in a sweater, right? He's the one that next to him is the one that told him to run. And I just think that it's such a fun story to realize that, because Pete was probably how old was he? You guys are all really, 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 really young. So anyway, I was going to say, and very probably brash. And so, I was like, you don't like it, you run for it. And so he did. And so Pete ran. And so I love that story. So, so Pete said he spoke with former Mayor Osgood, who was elected to City Council the same year as Pete and was elected mayor and succeeded Pete as mayor. we reflected on Pete's role in Tumwater's history. During Pete's tenure on the city council and mayor, the growth management boundaries for Olympia, Tumwater, and Lacey were established for the first time before this was required by the state under the Growth Management Act. That's pretty amazing to do that. The governing structure of LOT was established, creating a model of intergovernmental cooperation that has since been reflected in many of our intergovernmental organizations like Intercity Transit, Animal Services, Court and Jail Services, and many others. Pete helped establish the Mayor's Forum, an informal regular meeting of local mayors to discuss issues of common interest. This forum continues to this day. But most importantly, Pete helped bring Tumwater city government into its modern form. Tumwater City Hall and adjoining Public Works facility was built on his watch. The overall structure of the Tumwater's departments was formed, and he appointed several department directors that played a key role in shaping Tumwater, including Chuck Denny, our Parks and Recreation Manager that remains here today. He regularly consulted with the council on city issues, something former mayors rarely did. He established communications with city neighborhood representatives. Through all of this, he built Sunset Air, one of the largest local businesses in the area. As elected officials, we know that it takes strong support from our families to do the work we do. On behalf of the city of Tumwater and its residents, we'd like to thank his wife, Kathy, and Pete's family for their support of Pete during his service to Tumwater and express our sincere condolences on their loss. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Mayor Pete Komet. Anyone else in the audience who is not on this sheet but like to talk about something that's not on the agenda? Going once, going twice. All right, let's move on to item number 6, consent calendar. Does any council member want to remove an item from the consent calendar? And if not, I would entertain a motion to approve. I got a motion from Councilmember Agave. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilmember Von Hotz. Any discussion? I just called you Von Hotz. Von Holtz. Any discussion on the 4 items? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you so much. On that is, as our normal, previous meeting minutes. So if you ever want to catch up on that, they're there. Also some work from the Finance Department, our Budget and Finance Committee, and our Public Works Committee. Moving on to item number 7, council considerations. First item, 7A, local agency agreement and project prospectus with Washington State Department of Transportation for the Somerset Hill Fish Passage Barrier Removal. Can we make that any longer?
If you would like.
I mean, it could be a challenge.
And we can add a couple more words to it. Yep.
Hi.
Hello. Good evening, council members. My name is Ryan Blazer. I'm an engineer in the Transportation Engineering Department. So I'm here to present the local agency agreement and project prospectus for the Somerset Hill Fish Passage Barrier Removal Project. These are the funding documents with WashDOT, and these have been previously approved by City Council. However, they're being presented again due to administrative revisions from requested by WashDOT.
Ryan, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Would you like questions from council throughout, or would you like us to wait? You get to decide.
Oh man, that's too
I
much
mean,
power for me.
the choices.
Feel free to interject.
Okay, so
Question.
your mics are going to be hot. Mainly it's better for me. Mics are going to be hot. Those on the screen, can someone tell me if someone raises their hand? Thank you, Tracy. All right, your mics are hot. Go ahead, Ryan. You have the floor.
Okay. So for some background on this project, there we go. So for some background on this project, Percival Creek crosses under Somerset Hill Drive just south of SPSCC campus, where the star is located on the map on the screen there. The existing 5-foot diameter culvert is a barrier to fish passage, and this project will correct the problem by opening up the channel and restoring it to a more natural condition. This location is actually located downstream of the Percival Creek at Sap Road project, which was just on the consent calendar and approved for construction contract awarding. And so there's a lot of good work going in this watershed, a lot of improvements to fish habitat and stream work here. So the design of this project will also include bank stabilization elements to protect adjacent utilities, nearby homes, an access road and the stream in general. And construction for the project is currently slated for 2027. So the photo on the left there up on the screen, you can see looking upstream on Percival Creek, standing on Somerset Hill Drive. Beautiful stream. And on the right there, you can see looking at the road, you can see up on the top right, there are some adjacent structures, just showing generally what it looks like existing today. So the purpose of these funding documents is to move the project into the preliminary engineering phase, which is the design phase. And we have been awarded a total of $4 million in federal PROTECT funding, with $600,000 for this design phase and $3.4 million allocated for future construction. And with that, are there any questions?
Your mics are still hot.
I don't really have a question, but I worked for WashDOT many years ago, and I worked in the environmental services, and there were a lot of lawsuits, and there was a lot of work with local municipalities and the tribes. And it's so exciting to see these fish barriers being removed and improved for fish passage. So I'm excited about this
Great.
project.
It is a wonderful thing.
Anyone else? I can't see anyone online. Thank you, Tracy. Look at that timing. That was perfect. Anyone have any questions? Ryan, what are you proud of this work?
This particular project in
Yeah.
general? Well, it's kind of a tricky question because we're just starting the design phase.
What are you going to be proud of?
What I'm going, so many things. So this project, I previously worked for Thurston County in their fish patches.
We'll let that go,
program.
right? Keep
Yes,
going.
please don't hold it against me. But a lot of that experience has given me a passion for this type of project with the fish enhancement, the hydraulics. As an engineer, it's a lot of nerdy stuff, and I love that stuff. And so, being proud of this project, particularly, just the ability to improve the environment that we live in and enhance the habitat that have previously been not accessible for fish or as long as that road has been there. So opening up this stream from Capitol Lake all the way up to, the headwaters, which I believe is Trosper Lake. Yep, that's what I'm gonna go with. Just the whole system, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm proud of that. Proud to be a part of that.
That was a great answer. Thank you. I think that's a good transition. If anyone else doesn't have any comments or questions, I'd entertain a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the Somerset Hill Passage Barrier Removal Project Perspectives and the Transportation and Engineering Director to sign the local agreement, agency agreement, and project prospectus.
So moved.
I'll second.
We got a first and we got a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Keep up the great work. I see Administrator Parks coming to the microphone. We are on ordinance number 2025-012, creating a communications department. What do you got for us?
I have some really great information for you. So this is coming to you from the Budget and Finance Committee. We took this to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting on July 25th. And it is essentially our proposal is to adopt an ordinance that would amend the Tumwater Municipal Code, which would create a new communications department.
Lisa, quick question. Administrator Perks, would you like questions throughout? Would you like us to wait?
Absolutely, throughout is perfect.
Your mics are still hot. Thank you.
And so currently the communications function is housed within the executive department, just by way of reference. So adopting an ordinance, this ordinance would actually amend the Tumwater Municipal Code in several locations. In 206010, it basically includes a communications department in a list of departments that exist within the city. In 210-010, it includes communications director as an officer of the city, in addition to the mayor and the council members. All department directors are listed here as officers of the city. And then Amendment 2-210-020 basically includes the communications director on the list of department directors that are supervised by the city administrator. And then there would be a new Tumwater Municipal Code section 2.10.120, which would actually specifically establish the communication director position. The current strategy with this proposal, if the council chooses to move forward with this ordinance, would be to appoint our current communications manager, Jason Wetstein, into the new communications director position and keep all of the employees that are currently serving this function for the city and doing so quite spectacularly in their positions. So why now and what do we hope to gain? So this, the idea behind a communications department has been one that has been on the radar screen for a while. Ann and I had conversations about this when I first started. We talked about doing this as we were trying to hire her replacement, which was Jason. The timing was such that it was in the middle of the budgeting process in 2024. We made a strategic decision to stay with the status quo for that current budget process as much as possible. We'd also talked about adding an IT department as well as a facilities department. Yes, Councilmember Jefferson, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So right now, we don't have a communications department. We have a communications manager. Am I understanding the problem correctly?
Yes, we currently have a communications manager within the executive department, and under his supervision are 2 communications specialists. And one of those is Margot Hoffman. She's out and about at a lot of our events. She works strategically to put together all of our newsletters, including working with various departments on social media posts where we're talking about and educating the community about what our city offers. And then we also have Margot, who works directly with, excuse me, I said Margot.
It's like we have 2 more.
So, no, we have Margot and Marnie. That's the challenge for me. So
Okay.
Marnie works very closely with our transportation group and our construction managers. She's the one who's out constantly doing all the notification to the public. She's the one, as we have big road projects, out delivering door hangers to make sure people understand as there are going to be immediate impacts. And those are just a couple of things currently that they perform. And so this proposal would actually would move them into their own department for a variety of reasons, which I will get to here shortly.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to define the problem because I didn't know what the problem or the issue is, so now it's clear. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Councilmember. Why now and what are our benefits? So as we were going through the budgeting process, we made this strategic decision. We were talking about an IT department. We talked about a communications department. We talked about a facilities department. Right now, Chuck Denny is not just the parks director, he's also the recreation department director, and he's also the facilities director. There's just a lot of needs as the community has grown. The needs have become more diverse, and it's been more important to take a look at that. But at the time, because Jason was brand new, we were in the process of doing a lot of work with our budgeting. We made the decision not to move forward with a new communications department specifically in this budget. But one of the things that Jason did really well is he has begun to bring information to us from our community. We did the community survey. It has become apparent over the last several months that there are concerns both on the part of the city as well as on the part of council members that we need to do a better job of communicating to our constituents and engaging our community. And it is abundantly clear that the city takes communication and engagement very seriously and considers them to be mission critical functions for the organization. So the evolution of the communications function, again, there has been communication activity for many, many years. Previously, it was handled individually in separate departments. There's several, currently there are even There are several professionals who do a lot of the communications work that is at this point in time now first began under Ann's guidance, but has continued and developed further under Jason's. There's much more of a department of collaboration. There's a citywide communications team that meets regularly that talks about various needs of their individual departments. They rely on each other to standardize their approach. So we have some consistency and collaboration in terms of citywide communications. We've also looked at needing to increase the focus not only on communications more strictly, but specifically public relations and the visibility of our community, of the organization to our community and to the region. So Jason in particular, has done a lot of work in terms of being available to coordinate on regional events, the League of Women Voters event earlier this spring on diversity, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is one example. He works with constituent groups on a regular basis, as do his staff members. And we have worked on enhancing our social media presence and how we function as a city with our various social media accounts. The other benefit of moving forward with this at this point in time is that there is a need to clarify that when or if the mayor and or myself are unavailable to answer questions, if there is information or a question answering that's happening on the behalf of the communications manager, that indeed a communications director conveys that is an official response. And so it's intended to provide Jason and his group the cachet, for lack of a better word, and the authority to respond on behalf of the city of Tumwater in an official capacity. Certainly not as the only official voice of the city of Tumwater, but as having that authority to respond on behalf of our organization.
Lisa,
Yes, ma'am.
just one thing, you mentioned that in order to give the validity of an official spokesperson, that can be done by saying he's the official spokesperson for the city of Tumwater.
Thank you. And we actually have done that in various ways. That Ann was designated as the official spokesperson. Jason has been that, and it has not necessarily been understood as clearly and as thoroughly as it would directly if we had a communications department and he were a communications director. So thank you for that. So our recommended action would be to ask the council to adopt ordinance number 2025-012 as described, creating a communications department.
I do have a question, and then I'd like to hear from the budget committee of their thoughts, because I wasn't at that meeting. But do you have any slides about what's going to be different?
Essentially, that is the benefit. What's going to be different is he is going to take over the budgeting process. He is going to take over more direct, proactive initiatives that need to be undertaken, particularly in response, for example, to the community survey and or the strategic planning process where the council may have direction. And it really gives him and his team the authority to be more directly involved and responsible to the council in terms of meeting the needs for communication by virtue of having a role specifically in developing those recommendations.
And what's the budget impact, the change in budget from one position to another position?
Right. So for purposes of analysis, I asked Troy to do that for us, and we just looked at September 1 through the end of this biennium, which is 12/31/26. The budget impact is basically only the delta between Jason's current salary and what would be a new salary or at a director level. And it's less than $50,000, which we believe to be within the capacity of our existing salary and benefits that have been authorized.
What change of percentage is that?
I have not calculated that. So if Troy's online watching, he might be able to do that quickly.
I would love that, because right now where I'm at, I would like to delay this vote, but I would like to hear from Councilmember Swarthout and Agabi. I think Michael Althauser was not at that meeting, but I still like to hear from him. Your thoughts on the budget committee, because it doesn't show that you're recommending this, that you're just proposed it to come to council. So I'd like to know, start with Councilmember Swarthout, your thoughts and what happened in that meeting.
So may I clarify one moment? In your staff report, it was recommended to be approved by the Budget and Finance Committee. and I didn't, it isn't in the presentation, but in the staff report, there was a recommendation made by Councilmember Swarthout to recommend approval
No, I don't
and
think
put
we
it on the
did. I think
consideration.
we asked to move it forward. So I don't think that we had a chance. I don't believe we approved it.
I do not remember.
I listened to it this afternoon in preparation, just to confirm.
Okay.
So there was so all of our,
Okay.
because we talked about the opportunity to keep it, to wait and have you have a further conversation, but the recommended motion, which was what's made and approved and passed, was to recommend approval of the ordinance and to put it on the consideration calendar so the full council could talk about it.
And I believe,
Yeah.
so we could have this conversation probably because that was the only way to move it forward.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
Yeah,
we did.
and okay, I'm sorry. I'll stand corrected on that. So, because I felt, I felt, was not sure that this was the time to be doing it. It felt kind of, why are we doing this now? Should we be waiting until we're doing this when we do our budgeting process next year? And it's nothing, a reflection, I guess, the person, it was just the timing that we're doing it at this point. And we're talking about and also too, I put a note here, like with the citywide communications, you're talking about the departments get together already and do have their own communications. So I was trying to connect the dots there as far as his position. And if we already have departments that are doing their communications, I'm trying to understand that piece that you were talking about. So.
Sure. So the communications team provides the majority of the communication that comes out from on behalf of the city of Tumwater officially. However, there are individual people within each department, whether it's Laura in the police department or Marisa in the Parks and Recreation department. They all do their departmental communications as well, whether it's a social media post or a website post or anything like that. In the past, before Jason got here, there was a system in place that required all of that information to go through the communications department and the communications manager before it went out. What we've done since Jason got here and at specifically at my request is that team meets on a regular basis and they talk about standardizing their operating procedures. They talk about standardizing the types and ways in which they're communicating. They rely on each other to be support for the different communication function. And it is something that's newer, but it is providing a level of consistency around communications and how we do that at the city of Tumwater that didn't exist before. And this would allow that process to continue forward.
Angela, Councilmember Jefferson, I see you. I'm going to wrap up with Councilmember Swarthout, go to Councilmember Gabi, then I'll jump to you, then I'll jump to Councilmember Alto. Does that work for you?
Go ahead to Peter next.
Am I on?
Hot mic, go.
So, we are a corporate entity. If you're a corporate entity, you have certain departments: legal, finance, communication. Communication is very important in how you put your information out there, regardless of how much information you want to put out there. The fact that we have not had one until now is on Tumwater. Moving forward, a communication department would have helped us. If I remember correctly, we have an incident a while ago where Jason spoke to a reporter, or a reporter may have called Jason, and then the confusion is, was it speaking for the mayor, or was it speaking for the city? Now, if we have a communication department, that information, whomever gives that information will be the communication director or manager, and is legally obligated or not obligated, can give that information, but we did not have that. So now, I think if I hear correctly, the delta between what the current salary for the proposed person is and then what that position will be is what the issue is. Maybe I stand corrected if that's not what the issue is. But in terms of whether we have a communication director now, tomorrow, 6 months down the road, we are going to have one. It's not a matter of not, it's when. So can we fit one within our current budget? If that cannot be done, then we should have a timeline with which we will say, this is when we have a communication department and director that mans that department. For too long, we have done things in Tumwater that does not, in my opinion, make too much sense. As a corporate entity, we ought to behave like a corporate entity. I'm a city council member that speak or represent this corporate entity. Imagine this is a company. We have a CEO and then we have the supervisors. That's what we are. So we, in our responsibility to make laws and ordinances for this city, ought to be able to say, we want the communication department. If we make ordinance and law, who is the communication person that is putting that idea? If we rely on this haphazard manager, supervisor, and what was Anne doing before she left?
Anne was the communications manager when she left.
Okay, so clearly, at some point in time, there was this understanding that we need somebody to be a person that put out us the information. We have a bunch of stuff happening within the community. The other day, I went to Costco yesterday. Starbucks. I went to Walmart, and across the street, I saw a Starbucks sign. I didn't know that. Herein lies the issue with how we have done things in Tumwater. If we are going to tell people this is what we do and this is who we are, we have to be able to toot our own horn.
So,
And tooting that
Councilmember
horn,
Kirby,
yes.
you are in favor of this.
I am in
Thank
favor.
you so much.
I am, wait, don't cut me off. I am in favor of having a communication director. And how we get there is the discussion. So now you can cut me off if you want.
I'm not cutting you off. I'm craving coffee because you keep mentioning Starbucks. Thank you. Well noted. Thank you. We're going to go to Councilmember Jefferson and then Councilmember Althauser.
Yes, I'm on the affirmative side because Jason is doing a phenomenal job. Now here is what I would like. How are his duties and responsibilities changing? What are the increased responsibilities that he has? I think that's the missing link. You know, I'm hearing that this department is doing this and this department is doing that. So under his umbrella, what are his duties and responsibilities now? That's what I'm missing. But I'm leaning on the affirmative side, but I just want to make it clear. That's it.
Well stated, Councilmember Jefferson. Councilmember Althauser.
Thank you. Appreciate having the opportunity to sort of weigh in. As I think Lisa, or as you, Councilmember Swarthout, stated, I was not at the Budget and Finance Committee, so I appreciate having sort of this opportunity to have a discussion about this. I think one of the really important things to me is just thinking back to the community survey, which you mentioned, Lisa, and sort of the desire that our community actively expressed through that survey for more comprehensive communication services. I think we saw deltas there in a few different forms. There's definitely deltas between the things we're doing and the things that people know about. There's a delta between the things that we aren't doing and the things that people want us to do. And I think it's sort of this two-way street to where there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And in my mind, sort of formalizing this, I think is a logical next step. I've worked at a number of organizations and in a number of governments on a different level where communications is a dedicated department for a variety of reasons. I think it helps foster professionalism within the department to have its own sort of sector or section where you can be proud to sort of be a member of that department to develop that subject matter expertise. And I think that in that sense, it is sort of a professional development tool to have a director title, to have that agency and have that authority and the gravitas of that title. I think that is important in and of itself, both for recruitment and retention and for the staff that work with that person. And I also think that, like, philosophically, it's important for me to just pay people for the work that they are doing. That, like, there's a number of roles within, I think, sort of the role of a director versus a manager that I think are current, that we're currently doing, that, you know, feels weird talking about a staff person, but, you know, like, you are already doing communication director duties in a variety of ways, but doing them under a separate title. And I think it's important to me that when we're asking people to continue to do good work and to even do a little bit more, that the title and things are commensurate with what we ask of people. And I think that's what we have been doing. I think that also, just given the nature of communications and how important it is, it does make sense for me to be a director position so that it is more closely knit into the executive team that interacts with the mayor and the administration on a regular basis. Like that is a very, I think, being a communications, and I'm a recovering communications professional. And I think that part of it, when you directly staff an elected official, in addition to the government that they are elected to, that's really challenging. It can be really personal in terms of that relationship. Like, if you're writing remarks for someone, that demands a degree of knowing that person. And I think being at the director level, where it is literally appointed by the executive, as opposed to sort of a hiring committee style, it is appointed by the mayor. Like, I think that just as a model, that makes a lot more sense to me. So it can be more personalized with whoever has that role. So I'm fine with moving it forward. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's always been surprising to me that this isn't already a thing. So I think that the timing makes sense to me now, because I think there's going to be a lot of big projects that we do over the next couple of months, and having a formalized role to try to communicate those to the public, particularly I'm thinking of the comp plan, would be helpful. That's
Thank
my
you,
2 cents.
Councilmember Altazzer. Councilmember Von Holtz.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me because I am a communicator. That's where I make my meat and potatoes that I live off of. And Jason has been doing a stellar job. And I do agree that people should be paid. I disagree that we're a corporation. We are a local municipality that is responsible for taxpayer dollars. And I read the article in the Jolt and I saw the pushback. And so I guess I'm torn between, we have public saying we want more, and we have public saying not $50,000 more. And that was the takeaway from that article. I also don't think that this is one reporter, one time, not taking a communications manager seriously isn't a reason to change everything. I'm all in favor of this. I think my issue is I don't think that this is a time. We're going to have an election in just a couple of months, and we're going to have a new mayor and new council members, and we're tying their hands, developing areas that they're going to oversee, well, the new mayor will oversee, that they're not going to have a say in. And so I think, yes, I think 100% a communications department is needed. I just don't know why right now is when we're going to do it, when we're so close to having new people on board.
Thank you, Councilmember. I see Troy's face on the screen. Troy, do you have something to add?
Just an answer to your question about the percentage. It's approximately 30%.
Do we have a policy when there's a position change?
So Troy, can you clarify that for me, that it's a 30% increase in salary?
I can't 100% without more information. I pulled up the spreadsheet that I provided to you, and it depends. I know, where he's at now on the salary schedule. I don't know where he's going to land. So that makes a difference. I took that kind of that $50,000 or less than $50,000 for the biennium and used that as a baseline.
Right. So what Troy's talking about there is we have a salary and a grade system. And so where the Jason would fit on the new system would be determinant of what the actual percentage increase is. When I asked Troy to calculate the delta, I asked him to do it at a maximum amount. So the maximum amount that between what he's making now and what he could make at step 6, which is the top step for director level, is the $50,000 for basically the 15 months left in the biennium.
Is that what you're proposing?
I have not talked with the mayor about the proposed step. No, it is
Okay.
not. That's the maximum condition.
I guess that's the challenge before, Council Swartley. You want us to, I vote on like whatever title change to keep and acknowledge and showcase the worst. I know this is very uncomfortable for you, Jason. Like, hi, you're doing amazing. But like, our thing is budget, right? To approve the budget. If I don't know what's being proposed, I feel uncomfortable voting, even though I'm total support of this move. I'm not in support of not knowing the amount.
And I think that's why we presented to you the maximum. The
I'm
maximum.
not comfortable with the maximum then.
Okay.
Can we, I was wondering.
Councilmember
when you
Swarthout.
see, like when we get step things from, we have a like police and we see the charts of like, you know, the executive thing and that we get something in writing that shows what
So-
that looks like and we didn't receive that.
So-
And then it would be nice to have like what his new responsibilities are going to be, that we would have more information.
So, yeah, so council members, a council adopts as part of your budget action, the salary and grade schedule for the biennium. And so it says what the grades are and what the salary ranges are. You establish the salary ranges. The individual employees land in the steps within that ranges based on a wide variety of things. And so the council sets the range. The administration or where they are hired determines where they fall on the step. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
So
guess
I just need to see.
I would need to see, go ahead.
See
Councilmember.
something. And that's, I guess, what I'm just like a numbers person. I'd like to see like something like, you know, here's, you know, like he's at this, and then we're going to see him at step, that we see something, that you'll present something. Because right now it's just like, we're going to be approving something, but we don't know it's going to be up to 50,000. And then what's the next year look like? So where does that fit into the budget for the next year? I guess is what I'm looking for.
I see Councilmember Althauser. Thank you, Swarthout, for that question. Councilmember Althauser.
I was just going to say that I'm not sure we're going to be able to see what step someone is going to get, because that's subject to negotiation between the employer and the employee potentially. Like, in terms of illustration for how much this could cost, I think the most fiscally conservative way for us to do it is to assume the maximum, because there's no way to know if it's going to be less than that. Like, as a council, we don't vote on what step someone is compensated at. We vote on a range. Yeah. So, like, if there's concerns about how much the range costs, I think we should just use the highest level of the range, because there's no way to really know other than that in advance. Like that's certainty that we're going to be unable to get, but unless Lisa, you can correct me if that's wrong, but.
No, that's accurate. And what if I didn't have an opportunity to convey it, I will again, or for the first time, if I forgot, the $50,000 delta is within the budgeted salaries and benefits that we have available to us in the general fund. We do not expect to ask for a budget amendment in order to accomplish this particular salary.
Do we have, one second, Councilmember Gubby, do we have, I know like in state agencies, when you get a bump, you're capped at 5 or 10%. Do we have that policy in Tumwater?
We do not have that policy in Tumwater.
Thank you. Councilmember Gubby.
So, Eileen, you remember this correctly. We had this issue with EDC, TRPC, when we were talking about salary for, what's his name, that left. So at that point in time, we have maximum, and we said this is you for from here to here. So now, to reiterate, I work for the state also. I don't know if it is within our responsibility to negotiate salary for a staff or for a position. What I think, or could be wrong, is within our responsibility to say this is what we are voting on, and then the staff, city staff, that goes and do the negotiation. So,
Yeah, Councilmember Guy, I'm not questioning. Like, I support this. My thing is also managing expectations when we've heard from Lieutenant Governor Ginny Heck about the next two ledge sessions, right? The optics, right? Not discounting the work, but not seeing and not being in the budget and not getting the grasp on those meeting minutes of what the change will be and what the, right? That's what I'm missing. I support it, but I just want it on record. I haven't seen it. And I'm not saying I don't trust, but I don't feel comfortable, but I'm still in support overall, right? But I want to have this discussion of like, I got to see what's going to be different, right?
so then I guess the question then is to our staff and the legal department, if we can say, or if we say, we think this range is allowable and outside of this range is not allowable, can we do that? Or are we even allowed to talk along those lines?
Well, it's up to the council to establish the position and the as well as the salary range. But within that range, typically it's the experience and the longevity and things like that that go into the step within that range. And so this is being brought to you for approval at grade 41. So that would be consistent with other directors in the city, and the range would be consistent for that grade. But then typically, no, the council would not get involved in determining which step within that grade.
And I just want to clarify also, the duties of the office as they are determined by the council are what's in the actual ordinance. The job descriptions themselves are not reviewed and approved by council. Those are done internally at the administrative level.
So can I just hear for the record that this is not just a change in title, right? Because the optics look bad of changing a title and giving someone up to $50,000. The optics look bad on that for me. That's not what's happening.
That is not what's happening. You are creating a department.
Thank you.
You're creating a department director to run that department. And for all of the reasons that Councilmember Althauser should stand here and do your presentations for you, or for me, it is the different responsibilities in general. Jason right now reports to me, as he would continue, but he reports to me in the manner of, what do you want me to do with this thing that the council wants to have happen? As a director, just like Brandon, just like Dan, just like Brad, as a director, he has the ability then to take all of his knowledge and expertise, which I do not have, and respond and react and provide you the service and the strategic recommendations for how to accomplish the goals and the priorities that you set for the community around communications. So he would be directly responsible for coming up with those strategic approaches on how are we going to, one of the things, for example, we heard in the community survey is there's a lot of people that answered don't know about whether or not we're managing the public finances well. That to me is an indicator that we're not doing a good job of communicating first. Once we communicate, if they still think we're not doing a great job, then we need to do we need to make some changes, and we may need to do that as well. But there's a big chunk of people that don't understand how public finance works. So that's an area where I say to Jason, how would we do that? And you would tell him through the strategic planning process, if it's a priority for you, to respond to that feedback that we got from the community in that community survey by saying, Jason, we want you to help develop a program and an initiative that's going to help our community better understand municipal finance. And that's something that he would directly work with you, as we all do, to develop the department, to develop the strategies, to develop the function, which absolutely is a critical function to this organization.
Thank you, Administrator Parks. Councilmember Jefferson, I see your hand.
Yes, Administrator Parks, you said that well. but the slides, to me, that didn't communicate that as well as you just said it. So just maybe 2 or 3 slides would have said that. And we would know, okay, this is what Jason is doing. These are the duties and responsibilities. That's what was missing for me. You said it finally. And again, I agree. I agree with it. I vote yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Driven. Let's put Jason out of his misery right now. I would entertain a motion. Motion to adopt ordinance number 2025-012, creating a communications department.
So move.
Thank you. Councilmember Altos, is that a second? Got it. I'm reading your lips. This is amazing. Thank you. We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Jason, you can breathe. You can breathe, Jason.
Thank you very much. I think this is a great move forward for the city.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Administrator
it.
Parks. Your mic is hot. Oh, now look at this. Who's presenting next? Jason, it's so great to have you join us. We are on item 7C, resolution number R2025-012, Purple Heart City designation. Jason, what do you need from us tonight?
Well, in short, I need you to adopt a resolution. So, but I'll start with the normal and say hello, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. For the record, I am Jason Wetstein, Communications Manager for the City of Tumwater.
Be director.
In the moment. And Resolution 2025-12 seeks to designate the City of Tumwater as a Purple Heart City. I'm bringing this forward again today after noting your expressions of support for both the proclamation and for this idea of a designation. And this resolution and the Purple Heart designation it would produce honors the bravery and the sacrifice of military personnel who have been wounded or killed in action. The Purple Heart designation would demonstrate support for our community of veterans and military families throughout our region. The resolution builds upon efforts to create a community where people feel that they belong. And council members, city employees, the community of veterans, military families here in Tumwater have all expressed support. Today, again, we have some of those supporters in the room with us. I want to note that there's Jim Peterson, Vietnam veteran, Bronze Star, Air Medal, Combat Infantry Badge, life member of Disabled American Veterans. He's also a Purple Heart recipient. We also have Alan Acosta, Commander of Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 407 out of American Lake, and a Washington Veteran Legislative Coalition member here in the audience. And for anyone else who's watching, any other veterans that I don't know about, I want to thank you at this moment too, because I'm mentioning the people who are here, and they're both here, they were there, and I want to convey that respect and thank all the veterans in the room today and who are viewing this broadcast. So as a review, I want to talk about how we came to this resolution. We heard council members' interest in the Purple Heart City designation. We connected with national and regional chapters of the Military Order of the Purple Heart to learn how to gain this designation. The mayor delivered a proclamation that was incredibly well attended. We invited the veteran community to that proclamation. We invited community members, and that, in effect, fulfilled much of it was an easy lift in a way to just gain support and show support. That fulfilled the requirements of the city designation with regard to the Purple Heart. For here, what we need to do is to agree on a resolution to see the work through for the Purple Heart City designation. So the designation supports our priority to build a community recognized for quality, compassion, and humanity. Resolution recognizes the benefit of creating a welcoming community consistent with the strategic priority, and it's one way to always remember the sacrifices of service members and their families in support of our freedoms. So the request is simple, I think it's simple. for your consideration is to adopt Resolution R 2025-012, designated Tumwater as a Purple Heart City. So thank you, and any questions are welcome.
Thank
I'll
you,
try to answer.
Jason. Your mics are hot. Anyone in here or in virtual land have any comments, questions, or compliments for Jason?
Yes.
Go ahead, Councilmember Jefferson.
Jason, thank you very much. When we first met and you came on board, I told you that this was very important to me, and it took a while, but you came through. Job well done. I appreciate that. And our veterans appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate you bringing it forward, Councilmember.
Thank you, Councilmember Jefferson, and also thank you for your service. And thank you both for coming tonight. Anyone else? If not, I entertain a motion to adopt Resolution R 2025-012, Purple Heart City designation.
So moved.
I'll second.
We got a first, we got a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same
Aye.
sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are moving on. Thank you so much, and thank you for attending.
Question?
I'm sorry, time has passed. Councilmember Swarthout?
What happens now? Will there be something that is posted? Do we have something that will be added?
Next steps?
Yeah, next steps, will we have something? that
Yeah,
will be on
a few more steps.
Okay.
First of all, I'm going to
Good.
note this in our social media and on our website, et cetera. As always, we have to fulfill our commitments, which means recognizing each August 7th, the day, the Purple Heart Day, National Purple Heart Day. Additionally, we'll be looking to try to bring in signage to recognize the city. Like we'll see cities up and down the coast. If you drive in many different directions from here, you will see these signs will be added to that proud group of cities that has those signs that show our respect and gratitude for the folks that served.
So we'll have an opportunity to gather our veterans again, an opportunity to celebrate maybe and be able to do
Unveil the sign.
Yeah, I hope so. I
Yep.
think so. Yes,
I
and
just-
you know, I mean, I've been speaking with Alan in the past. He is very excited and has been very forthcoming with ideas, and so I'm entirely pumped about this. So,
Thank you, Jason. Great question, Councilmember Swarthout. Any other comments, questions? We want Jason to go back and sit down and then bring him back up. Good? Jason, I think you can sit down.
Yeah, I appreciate the calisthenics though. So,
You're welcome. You're welcome. We should give you a pedometer so we can track the steps up and down. Moving on to committee reports, public health and safety. Councilmember Agabi, what are you up to in public health and safety?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tempo. Our meeting is on September 9, and I see 2 items on as part of our agenda. We are hopefully and finally going to be moving forward the resource officer contract on that day. And then I believe city manager is going to come and give a brief discussion about this Tumwater Safe program.
Thank you, Councilmember Agabi. Councilmember Althauser, what's good with General Government Committee?
The General Government Committee has not met since our last council meeting, but we are meeting, I believe, next week.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Althauser. Councilmember Swarthout, what is good with Public Works Committee?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We will be meeting on Thursday, September 4th at 8 a.m. and we'll be discussing the service provider agreement with HDR Engineering for the old Highway 99 and 79th Avenue roundabout design, amendment number 2, and also the service provider agreement for Robert W. Droll, landscape architect, for the Trails and Park Master Plan, amendment number 2. So 8 o'clock Thursday.
It's a happen spot. We look forward to an update. Thank you so much. Budget and Finance Committee, our mayor is not here today, but they're still meeting monthly, right?
Mhm.
So monthly meeting, she will report when she comes back. Okay. Mayor, City Administrator reports. Mayor is gone. Administrator Parks, what is good?
All kinds of good today. I am going to talk about 2 things. The first thing that I would like to do is I would like to take an opportunity to introduce you to Jean Angel, our new Economic Development Coordinator. Kelly would be here to do this. She's super excited to be working with Jean. Kelly went home not feeling well today. There's something afoot. So just a few talking points about Jean, and then I'm going to let him come up and introduce himself. So he most recently served as the Director of Research and Evaluation at the Thurston Economic Development Council. And as such, he has actually provided numerous opportunities and analysis for Tumwater during his tenure at the EDC. So he probably knows more in terms of data about economics and demographics than any of us, which is really exciting to have him here for that. He did graduate from Evergreen with a focus on economics and public policy. He is very well versed in the unique opportunities and challenges that face not only Thurston County, but the city of Tumwater. He is an engaging public speaker, which I hope you will have an opportunity to go to the real estate forum a little bit later this month. I believe he is going to be helping me out with a presentation on the planned action EIS at the brewery property. And he is an integral part of the team now that is working on economic development initiatives around brownfield redevelopment, business attraction and retention, strategic planning, and a whole lot more. So Jean, would you like to take a few moments?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Yeah, my name is Gene Angel. I'm your new economic development coordinator. It's truly my personal and professional privilege to be here. I think that I know most of you, and I hope that you've had the opportunity to read some of my past work or see me in a presentation. I hope it was great. Look, my previous position at the Thurston Economic Development Council was eclectic. It was take something big like the economy and distill it down into something actionable, no matter who walks in the door, whether it's a big business, a small business, a nonprofit, an elected official, being able to communicate the realities of the economy and make that something into something that we can all understand, have in our back pocket, and take action on. That's really what I think my specialty is. I've been doing it for almost 10 years now. And so I'm quite versed in Thurston County's economy. And as I said, it's truly my professional privilege to be here. And I'm just pleased as punch. Thank you.
Mics are hot. Any questions? Councilmember Agami.
So, Gene, having heard what you've done in the past and having seen you at EDC on a one-time basis, so I'm expecting or anticipate that there's going to be a bunch of collaboration between you and Jason's department in getting out to the community what we're doing in Tumwater and what is coming to Tumwater.
100%. Yeah. So really a lot of my expertise is in data storytelling. And a big part of my role at the EDC was how do we make sure that other people understand that we live in a truly incredible place? How do we communicate that story to where maybe you're not very familiar with Thurston County or the city of Tumwater, making sure that that is clear and presently understood? That's my wheelhouse, and I'm very happy to be able to do that work and to collaborate with Jason on that.
Thank you.
So I'm just like using my thumb now. It's like it's past 8 o'clock. Yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Swarthout.
I've had an opportunity to hear you speak before, and so I really appreciate that you're part of our team. And then have you developed your elevator speech for what's happening with the brewery and when is the Falls Terrace opening?
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, thank you for that. Third week here at the city of Tumwater, but it's high on my priorities list. So certainly, it's been an interesting opportunity for me to learn all the things that I didn't know about municipal government. When you're sitting on the outside, it's easy to look at the inside and think that you know everything. When you're here at the inside, you learn very quickly that you don't know much at all. So yeah, I'm definitely going through that process, and it's certainly I'm walking it with humility.
Welcome to the team.
Councilmember Jefferson.
Yes, Jean. We know that the EDC is an exciting place to work at. Why did you choose our beautiful historic Tumwater?
You're right, the EDC is an incredible place to work, but it's not quite the same working at a private nonprofit as it is working directly in public service to the benefit of the people. So I would certainly say that the EDC is doing incredible work that is in the benefit of the people, but it is not the same as working within the wheels of government to actualize change where you live. So thank you.
Good
Thank
answer.
you.
Anything else? I'm excited to work with you because I was bugging you when you were at EDC about, you don't have to agree, Jean, that I was bugging you. It was too fast, but valid. So I forwarded that email that we were doing back in March and said I would love to follow up, right, with regards to a success story with the Port of Olympia, the largest landowner in Tumwater, what are the inputs, outputs, right? I had a ton of questions. You were doing questions back and developing that. I love to keep that conversation going. So welcome to Tumwater.
Thank you.
And I'm just happy to have a greener on board.
Thank you, Councilmember Von Holtz.
You're
for-
welcome.
That's a good wrap up. Thank you. Jean, would you like to continue standing up next to Administrator Parks, or would you like to? It's up to you. You want to do a round? You, whatever you want to do, Jean.
Thank you, Jean. We're super excited. And he and Kelly sit right next to me, so we're having a grand time. The next thing I would like to talk to you about is I need to provide you an update on the FIFA fan zone conversation. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of moving wheels, a lot of different cogs in the wheel. And there have been several joint meetings with several jurisdictions, the City of Lacey, City of Tumwater, City of Olympia, Thurston County, the Port District, as well as the Chamber. And there are, as of last Thursday, which was the last one, there is a new revised proposal. And I'm not asking for a decision tonight. That would be inappropriate. I am asking for some direction from the council that I can take back to the group and that we can take forward to LTAC committee, which I will explain here shortly. So there's basically two items that are being discussed at this point. One is how much money should the jurisdictions contribute? And the second thing is, instead of having one large centralized location venue for this event, which is currently, as we discussed in July, proposed to be at the Port Peninsula for this anywhere from 6 to 9 dates, or should we disperse the locations and spread them out throughout the region? So those are the two questions that are currently being posed. With regard to the financial proposal, this actually comes from Commissioner Mejia. I'm very appreciative of her stepping forward with this proposal because it's a request for a lot less money than what we were previously asked. The previous request was for $375,000 from Tumwater and the same amount from Olympia, Lacey, and Thurston County. Commissioner Mejia's proposal is to have a maximum of $300,000 total from the 4 jurisdictions, which is substantially less. In her proposal, she also recognized the difference in Tumwater's size comparatively. And so the current request of Tumwater is for $50,000. And then for each of the other 3 jurisdictions would be $84,000. So it ends up being, I think if I'm calculating right, $302,000 or $304,000. So that's the financial request. And then in terms of the event venue, I think in response to the reaction to that large request for dollars, a lot of the people who have been participating in this have talked about having a different style of venue instead of one big place where people gather. There is a strong preference from some to have this FIFA fan zone as it was originally proposed, again, on the Port Peninsula, 6 to 9 different times, although scaled back to better align with the available resources per Commissioner Mejia's suggestion. The challenges with that approach is that there are high impacts to Olympia, to that community. It is a larger event with all of the larger issues that go along with that in terms of logistics and just how you actually deliver that venue. Others also feel strongly that the event could be held at multiple smaller locations spread across the jurisdictions, maybe including restaurants and bars in the process to ensure that they benefit from this as well and aren't necessarily feeling like they're competing with this large event on the Port Peninsula. The challenges with that approach are there are viewing licensing issues with FIFA. There are questions about how or if the Seattle Coordinating Committee and or FIFA would agree to these dispersed events and have any kind of approval of that. There also it could make us ineligible to apply for state and federal money that is available to support jurisdictions that are doing these FIFA fan zones, primarily oriented around security grants. And so there is two things that I would like to get from council. On the finance side, at the July work session, I heard some pretty clear consensus, not specific direction or a vote by any stretch, that if we were going to fund this, it should come from LTAC funds, that it wasn't, that we shouldn't necessarily use general government, the general fund money to do this. It is appropriate, I think. It's the type of event that could easily fit into the criteria for using tourism promotion dollars on. So in response to that, staff submitted an initial application to the LTAC. We did that within the timeline. The application window closed on Friday, on August 29th. So we did submit a request based on the hot off the press request for $50,000. We left a number of places in the application saying we needed to fill in more as the regional effort was refined. We would commit to doing to making those refinements before the packet would go to LTAC. But essentially, I'm looking for direction from the council as to whether or not it's okay that we continue forward to LTAC with that request. If you're not comfortable funding this project at all, you can say, Lisa, we are not really comfortable. We would prefer that you withdraw that application. We could very much do that. But because this is a topic that we brought to you, and ultimately, if it becomes an LTAC recommendation, ultimately the council makes the final decision on LTAC recommendations anyway. We wanted to make sure that there was a level of comfort that you were okay with this request going forward. I do have, this is the presentation from last time, if you're interested in seeing any of the information that I had in July. I also have an Excel spreadsheet that Troy prepared for me that shows you where we stand in terms of our budget with our LTAC funds. So we actually have, we have a balance, we have a fund balance. We could manage $50,000 and not have a serious impact.
I think that's the takeaway. I like to go through each council member. We're going to start with Councilmember Swarthout, who serves on LTAC. Do you feel comfortable?
And then we used to have a separate fund. We had a fund specifically, we set up one for we were trying to attract new events. And so I think that this would be eligible for a new event. And so, so it won't be a surprise, I think, to the current committee members because we had that. We just didn't have anybody ever apply over the years. And so I think this would be, and as long as the funding's there, you know, I think that's a positive thing. You definitely got it down to a doable, and we've talked about this. As long as the money's there in LTAC, I think that's a doable thing for us. So, yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember Sorrell, who also chairs LTAC. Thank you. Councilmember Dahlhoff, I'm a yes. I think that's realistic, and thank you for that summary that it's not going to have a negative impact and it aligns. Thank you, Chair of LTAC. Councilmember Agabi, do you feel comfortable or are you still a no?
No. See,
Like no, yes, or yes, no?
no, 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 no. I met with the community, I think she's from our ARC on Monday. Saturday, I met with her. So she has a program for homeless youth. Actually, not youth, but it's kind of adult, 18 to 25. And then she told me all the things that this program does. And I said to her, well, you should apply to Tumwater for our community block grant program to see if you get money next time around when we do as a visit day, whatever that is called. So if I am going to spend $50,000, and I like to shop, and you can tell I like to shop, I want to make sure that I'm getting the benefit from what I'm buying.
Councilmember, so community development block grants is different than LTAC dollars.
I know.
So you're still no?
No, we can take that $50,000 from LTAC and put it into this
Sorry,
program.
speaking for Administrator Parks.
To help our community. This whole thing does.
Okay, so you're a no.
It's a,
Got it.
It's a no.
Thank you.
No, no, no.
Councilmember Von Holtz.
I'm a yes.
Councilmember Alcázar, you have your hand up. You have the floor.
Thanks. We probably don't need to get into the dedicated funds discussion. But Lisa, one of the concerns that we talked about as a group last time was money, but the other concern was staff time and the burden and the challenge that would propose. This sort of seems like we've reduced sort of a fiscal impact to where it's feasible within this fund, to where the funds in LTAC can only be used for LTAC purposes, of which this would qualify. But can you talk a little bit about sort of the staff time aspect of this? And like, it seems like by the changing of the scope, that will also be reduced and be more manageable than we were contemplating last time. Is that right?
I believe that is true. It's kind of a moving target, and it's been difficult to define, in part because, we have to make funding decisions before we can ask the people to do a lot of work, and it takes a lot of work to help you all make those funding decisions. So it's really, it's been a challenging conversation. The chamber was on the call on Thursday, along with their contracted event person. And she indicated that when she did the initial proposal, which you all saw in your packet from July 8th, it was a Cadillac version of an event. It was, if you want to do this, this is what this might look like. And it was speculative. And it was conservatively done, both in terms, which is the way to do it, both in terms of the cost estimates as well as in terms of the revenue that you could generate from sponsorships in particular. The component of Commissioner Mejia's recommendation and proposal is that it would be a scaled back event. There still are going to be impacts in terms of the immediate impact of managing additional 2,500 people at the Port Peninsula on a regular basis is largely going to fall to the city of Olympia. We do, however, have mutual response agreements for both law enforcement as well as emergency and firefighting services, emergency medical and firefighting services. So there would remain a potential impact to our staffing levels for the events specifically. It's been, without knowing exactly what a scaled back event might look like, I'm not sure exactly what the in-kind would look like in terms of the planning and the organizing. But I think just by necessity, in order to take a $2 million project and draw it down to something that's way less than that, it would, by extension, likely include a lot less effort in terms of coming up with how this thing would be rolled out in terms of logistics.
Thank you, Administrator Parks. Councilmember Alto, is that good for you?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to end with Councilmember Jefferson. Where are you at today listening to what you just heard?
I don't see the direct benefit to the city of Tumwater, besides working together as a team, supporting our neighbors. What does it look like for our restaurants, for our venues, for our hotel? What are we going to achieve with this $50,000 investment? And it's more than $50,000 looking at staff time. I'm not comfortable saying yes at this time.
That's great feedback. Thank you, Councilmember Gerber. So you got 5, 4, 2 still questioning. That's enough for you to move forward and continue coming back.
Yes, that is definitely, I didn't want a specific answer tonight definitively, but I wanted to make sure that we were okay. I wouldn't want us to go through a process and have the LTAC make a recommendation and then not have that be comfortable with the council. So
How the board, how the LTAC is, I think that they'll be interested. I do. So a couple of them will be interested in this. So.
Okay, so then the last thing that I need, and this is something that is not necessarily a decision that goes to LTAC, but this is information that I need to take back to the people that are trying to do this work. Is there a strong preference, if this occurs, as to the venue, a single venue versus a multiple site? And I think, basically the bottom line is there going to be a no based on whether or not it's a single event or multiple event?
I mean, I think that some of the feedback we've heard is like, what is the benefit to Tumwater? So I'm gonna make an assumption that like with Councilmember Jefferson, that she would like to see something on Tumwater. The question I have, is that still worth $50,000 depending on the license fees, right? So if I'm comfortable with $50,000, so if that means in Olympia and our hotels and the Seattle group will have us on the app, right? But if we're gonna do individual and that's gonna cost more money, that defeats the whole purpose of trying to scale it down. So that's where I'm at,
Yeah.
Councilmember Swarthout.
Just, and they talk about the app part too, and it's not just the event itself, from what I understand, is that people will be coming and like traveling through the area. So it's not just
Correct.
that one, for the games that time, but because I guess it's going on for a while, so
Yes.
that people will be finding us. So,
Yeah.
so hopefully, finding the falls and finding the distilling and finding us that way. So hopefully,
Yes.
regardless of what happens on the game days, that it'll show, cause, bring attention to Tumwater. So
Yes,
it'll be
the-
interesting to hear when we bring some,
Yeah.
development in as well to hear from them.
So do you have a preference? Like, are you,
I don't know. I'm still kind of, I was thinking, my head was like, oh, you can screen on the green in Tumwater.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
doing our own.
The proposal would not change, at least as I understand the conversation, and I've been doing my best to listen to the proposals because they're kind of flying. But generally, I believe the intent would be that the chamber would still organize this, but instead of having a single location, there might be multiple locations. And I think the purpose behind that suggestion was to try and help reduce the costs, as well as to provide opportunities for bars and restaurants, and as well as to acknowledge or address the issue of a wider benefit to multiple jurisdictions who are participating.
and then it goes back to Councilmember Althauser's staff time, right? Not just with fire police. So I think that's the balance as well. We know Councilmember Gabi is a no. So thank you. Councilmember Von Holtz, do you have a strong preference one way or the other, or would you like to have her keep pursuing both?
Yeah, I don't have a preference.
Yeah. Okay.
Councilmember Althauser, do you have a preference? No. So she can move forward with both, right? Put that into staff, what's best for staff and the time and all the factors that we don't hear about. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Jefferson, do you have a stronger preference one way or the other because you're still uncertain?
For Tumwater in Tumwater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that help you
Yeah,
move forward?
that is helpful, and it really comes down to do you have a preference or not, and that's kind of what we've been saying, and without having had this conversation, I felt like I've been a little bit out on a limb, not being able to say Tumwater thinks this.
I think that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think that the determining factor is the licensing fees? Because I know that they're a lot.
There was an article that was sent to me in Politico magazine. I don't know when it was actually published. It specifically talks about the FIFA challenges right now in the United States. It specifically addresses fan zones. I think that there are a myriad of requirements that FIFA and the Seattle Coordinating Committee basically have agreed to that are going to probably make a multiple venue scenario difficult, if not impossible, because of those agreements that they've already made that aren't necessarily available to us. So
Anything else for us?
I think that's it for today.
Thank you
very much.
so much. Happy Tuesday. So we are on to item number 10. We're so close, everyone. Council member reports. We are going to start in the chambers with Councilmember Von Holtz.
I have meetings starting tomorrow, but I don't have anything to report.
You are attending what Jason's attending? The Forward Thurston? Are you attending those meetings? Did you do last week's? Am I just making things up? Don't even listen to me. Thank you, Jason. This is why we need a director.
That's not the meeting I was thinking.
You know what? I'm not going to challenge you on your reports. I apologize for interrupting, Councilmember Von Holtz. Thank you so much. Councilmember Agabi, what's good with you?
I think my meetings are in the future, starting from next week, Tuesday, I believe. Yes, public health and safety, and then transportation, and then disability board. Oh, next week.
We look forward to hearing in the future about your future meetings. Thank you. Councilmember Dahlhoff, my updates. Thurston County 911 Communications is meeting on Wednesday, and then I am out next Monday through Wednesday presenting in Hot Springs, Arkansas on circular economy and removing toxics from goods and services and solid waste diversion. I'm pretty excited about it. And if I can convince people in Arkansas about the importance of it, I feel it's a good day. Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Swarthout, what's good with you?
Let's see. So I have the TRPC meeting on Friday, and we have Public Works on Thursday and TRPC on Friday.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Althauser, what's good with you?
Thanks. I have two updates. The first meeting of the estuary group funding governance. Well, I guess it's not funding governance work group anymore, but for the estuary project in the past couple of months took place a week or two ago, and I attended that along with the mayor and Administrator Parks. And that project sort of hit a little bit of a standstill because the legislature changed the not the governing authority, but the project administrating authority from the Department of Enterprise Services to the Department of Ecology. And that has sort of led to the Department of Ecology taking some time to take stock and get up to speed. We had a really great meeting with them to just talk about our concerns as Tumwater and some of the points of the project that we're interested in. And ultimately our goal of not backsliding or not losing progress, and also kind of maintaining the momentum that we had going. I think that was a great meeting. It was mostly an intro meeting, so no decisions or actions or anything, more like putting a face with the name for the new project folks and talking about the contracting services that will be supporting that work moving forward. I also attended the Regional Housing Council meeting this past Wednesday. We didn't have a super packed agenda, but we did deal with an emergency funding request from Sandy's Flats. That is the hotel conversion project on Capitol Way that's sort of near Wagner's Bakery. There was a fire in one of those rooms, and they needed a capital infusion of about $50,000 in order to rehabilitate that room and get someone back in it, because every room that's out of service is a bed that's not in service, is another person that is living outside when they could be choosing to come inside. So that funding request, we developed a fund maybe 2 years ago in order to be able to make mid-cycle investments when needed. And that was, I think, really the exact purpose why we created that fund, was to fund things like that. So we did approve that and recommend that that go to the county commission for consideration. We also had a discussion of how we are going to continue our retreat. We got through about half of it, and still have some more work to do. We couldn't really agree on a date, so it's going to occur at our next regular Regional Housing Council meeting in later this month, in the third Wednesday of this month. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Althauser. Councilmember Jefferson, bring us home.
Yes, the EMS council met on the 28th of August, and we discussed several key updates and approvals. We reviewed a surplus of 3 additional medic units. The second quarter financials showed Medic 1 at 36% spending, with 1.6 million allocation for new units funded by ARPA. The council approved a 35,000 increase per agency for lease space and a 25,000 increase per paramedic for training costs. They also highlighted the success of the Suboxone initiative, noting a decline in overdose costs and the deployment of thermal imaging cameras for locating patients in accidents. The 8th medic unit will go live end of October 2026, and I've been talking about this for at least a year. But good news is it's going better than expected. One more update for the community. Experience Olympia and Beyond. We just hired our new executive director, Michael Day, about 2 months ago. Well, Michael is no longer the CEO. Reason being, he was just not a good fit for the organization. So that message went out to the community on August 28th. We're looking for a new executive director at the time that I'm stating this. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Jefferson. Any other business? I just want to remind everyone it's 8:49. So if you do have any other business, it's 8:49. Seeing none, I'd also just like to normalize council asking questions doesn't mean that we don't value you or support you or see you. And so I just want, on behalf of council, that every staff person that's virtual in here, that we see you, we value you, and appreciate you. And when we ask questions, it's not personal because we want to help you be successful and be the best that you can be. And so I would love for us to normalize asking questions and not taking it personally, which will be a lifelong opportunity for me to work on. Anything else? Good to the order? 8:50. Go home. Thank you so much.